Hey guys, it's Jeff here from Crossbow Nation. On today's Crossbow Nation gear review, we're featuring the CAMX Chaos 325 crossbow. Now, this is a brand new crossbow company, but don't let that scare you because the staff behind CAMX Crossbow has been designing and building crossbows just about longer than any other manufacturer out today. It's through this experience that they brought you the CAMX Chaos 325 crossbow. This may look like any other ordinary crossbow, but there's a lot of features that sets this apart from the pack, and today we're going to take a look at those features and see what it's all about. Okay, the first feature we're going to look at, and probably the most noticeable, are these two red wings on either side of the flight rail. Those are called the thumb savers, and they prevent your thumb or your index finger from going over the rail so that they don't get in the way of the path of the string when you fire the bow. If you've been around crossbows as long as I have, you probably have, or you might know somebody that has, hit their thumb while shooting a crossbow, and you know it doesn't take very many times before you realize you don't want it to happen again, and the thumb savers will prevent that. They do fold out of the way to allow for easy cocking, and when you're done cocking the bow, they return back to their outward position. The next feature we're going to take a look at is what CAMX calls the Monoblock. And what that is it combines your Weaver style scope mount to your sight bridge. And instead of having two separate pieces attached by screws, CAMX decided to machine that out of 100% aluminum, so it's all one piece. It's very rugged, very solid, and it provides a great platform for mounting your scope to. The Monoblock also houses the PAR, and that's this red lever out in front of the sight bridge. What the PAR is, and stands for, is Pivoting Arrow Retainer. No more arrow retention springs to make noise on you. The PAR also acts as an anti-dry fire system, and what it does is it actually prevents the safety from being moved into the fire position until there's an arrow that's fully loaded underneath there. So that's your arrow retaining system for CAMX crossbows. It's ultra quiet, it's very simple, it's not going to get in the way or get snagged on anything, and it's called the PAR, Pivoting Arrow Retainer. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the Aero Optics crossbow scope from CAMX Crossbows. I say it's a crossbow scope for this reason. Unlike a lot of the other crossbow scopes out there that have 4 inches eye relief, this has 1.5 inches of eye relief. Now, why should that be important to you? Well, for a couple reasons. If you grab a bow and just close your eyes and naturally rest your cheek and your face on the comb of the stock, and open your eyes, with many of the scopes out there today with the 4 inches of eye relief, what you're going to have to do in order to see through it is move your head way back here. Well, that's not a very comfortable position, and it's not the natural position either. Or if you can do that on your bow, what the manufacturers have done is they've moved the sight bridge so far out over the rail that it looks like a diving board hanging out there, and it's not very sturdy. So with the 1.5 inch eye relief, with the Aero Optics, you could get a good cheek weld, your eyes lined up right with the scope where it should be, and it's still on that rock solid monoblock. Another nice feature about all CAMX Aero Optics is it comes with steel scope rings, not aluminum ones. So they designed these bows to be hunting bows and to be very rugged, and with the monoblock combined with these steel scope rings, you've got a really, really strong scope mount. And we all know that if your scope's not on, you might as well not even go out in the woods. So that's the Aero scope from CAMX Crossbows. Okay, another cool feature is what they call the Wishbone Quiver. And the Wishbone Quiver is a crossbow quiver. And I say crossbow quiver, and that's because CAMX just wasn't happy with any of the vertical bow quivers out on the market today. You know, a lot of manufacturers just purchase a vertical bow quiver. They try to make it work on their bows, and none of them work out really good. The Wishbone Quiver is the first truly crossbow quiver. What makes it unique is, number one, it's got 2 arrow grippers, which eliminates the foam insert inside the hood. What that does is keeps your fixed blade broadhead sharp, and it keeps from giving you an early deploy on your mechanical broadheads by cramming them up in that foam So that's a really cool feature. Another nice feature is it's very low profile. It doesn't stick out below the bow very much at all. It mounts on the side, so it's not a horizontal mounting quiver. It is ambidextrous, which means if you're a left-handed or right-handed shooter, you could flip it to either direction. But the coolest feature is this big thumb screw here, this big knob, is the only attachment screw that it has to attach right directly to the rail. This screw is real easy to get undone, especially if you got big gloves on and it's cold. Having this oversized knob makes it real easy. And when you remove the screw, there's no hardware or brackets left on the riser. It just mounts directly quiver right to the riser by that big screw, and gives you a really secure and quiet fit with nothing else hanging out there. So that's the Wishbone Quiver from CAMX, and yours better be stocked with the AccuSpine arrows too. We'll get onto that in another crossbow review, but you're going to want to check out those arrows from CAMX called the AccuSpine too. So Wishbone Quiver. All right, the Comfort Tech stock is the next feature that we're going to show you. Now, how much can you change on a stock? Well, not a whole lot, but from years of hunting experience, the engineers at CAMX have made a couple small refinements that are worth noting. Number one, the one I like the best, and it seems pretty simple, is this little cutout here. Now, why is that important? Well, for a couple reasons. I hunted with this bow for 4 weeks during turkey season, and I'll tell you, when you're running and gunning, if you don't have the sling on and you want to throw this bow over the shoulder, it does create a nice handle to hold on to the bow. So that was important to me, and those are the things you just don't realize until you start hunting. You almost do that subconsciously. Also, if you're pulling your bow up to your tree stand and using a pull-up rope, it gives you a place to attach your rope far away from the trigger that you could attach your pull-up rope to and safely pull up your bow. The stock has an adjustable length of pull, and when you buy the Chaos 325 package, you get a spacer kit that allows you to adjust the length of pull depending on what size frame you are. If you're smaller or bigger frame, you can adjust that to customize it for your fit. This cutout at the bottom of the stock, again, doesn't seem like much, but they cut that out so that it fits over your thigh when you're sitting either in your blind or in your tree stand. They also elongated each one of the, each side of the stock so that when it is sitting on your thigh, it's not a sharp edge. It's nice and flat. You can rest your arm across the bow and not going to have to worry about, you know, sitting there for hours in it, digging into your thigh and just being uncomfortable. The last thing that's really cool is they give you an included stud in case you want to put in a bipods or a monopod or a tripod for that matter. You got an extra threaded stud in the bottom. So that's the Comfort Tech stock from CAMX Crossbows. Okay guys, here's another really cool feature exclusive to CAMX Crossbows, and you're just not going to find it anywhere else. And quite frankly, if you haven't been a crossbow hunter, you just wouldn't know better to design something like this. And this is where crossbow hunting experience comes into play. Not only when you're a engineer and you're designing these crossbows, but also when you're building these crossbows, you think of features like this. CAMX includes a sling called the Low Ready Sling. Now, what's the big deal about that? Well, we all know carrying crossbows is a pain in the butt. They're cumbersome, they're awkward, and a traditional rifle sling just doesn't get the job done. So CAMX designed this Low Ready Sling, and what it does is it has two buttons on either side of the stock. So again, if you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter, but there's a clip that hooks onto this sling harness that attaches to the bow. What this allows you to do is have both hands free. So if you need to rattle, if you need to look through your binoculars, you have both hands free, the bow's right in front of you, and you can still shoot your bow with this sling attached. So it doesn't get in the way of anything. Another really cool feature is if you loosen up all the slack on the sling, you can throw this bow right over your shoulder, and now you could walk to your stand without the bow bouncing in front of you on your thighs. You could also grip the side of the bow and navigate through any brush if you're sneaking through brush or anything without it getting in the way. And again, this is just one of the exclusive features from CAMX Crossbows that if you're a hunter, you're bound to appreciate. Okay, so all CAMX crossbows come with a Parker Red Hot rope cocker. You know, sometimes a manufacturer just gets something right, and the Red Hot rope cocker is the best one out there right now. So instead of designing another one to compete with it, they worked out a deal where all bows are gonna come with a Red Hot rope cocker. Fold down one wing, hook up the rope cocker. Fold down the other wing, hook up the rope cocker, and cock the bow. What's really cool about the CAMX crossbow is you could pull the rope cocker to one side, bypass the anti-dry fire with your index finger, slide the safety into fire with your thumb. Now you pull the trigger and you can let this bow down very easily. That's a really cool feature. Also, with CAMX crossbows, if you want to cock the bow by hand, you can cock the bow by hand very easily. It doesn't have a real steep string angle, so there's no finger pinch or anything like that. So that's how you cock the bow. Well, by now I'm sure you've seen that there's so many features in here, you can tell this is not your average crossbow. The last feature I want to go over, and probably the most important, and hopefully the one you'll never have to use, is the warranty. CAMX Crossbows is offering a lifetime warranty on the bow, not to the consumer, but on the bow itself. What does that mean? That means whether you give this bow away, you sell it to somebody else, or you trade it, the bow is covered for the life of the product. Not the consumer, not the guy that bought it, but the bow itself. So there's no special paperwork you have to fill out. There's no extra fees associated with that. They stand behind their product so much that they're willing to give a lifetime warranty on the bow and the materials itself. Other than strings and cables, nobody does that, but all other materials are guaranteed for life. So that's a pretty awesome warranty. If you're interested in checking out more information about CAMX Crossbows, go to their website. It's camxcrossbows.com. And if you're interested in seeing more reviews like this, please go to Crossbow Nation. Our website is crossbownation.com and join the Crossbow Nation.